Knows if you're in this room, you're on the air. And we'd like to call to order the concurrent meeting of the School Administrative Unit Number 12, the School Board in the Londonderry School District, this evening, Tuesday, June 13th, 2006 at 7:04. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to ask Jenny Hefferman to lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item we have on the agenda is Carolyn O'Connor with a Beautify Londonderry wrap-up.
Thank you for having me. I wanted to come tonight to provide the school district with a wrap-up of Beautify Londonderry. For those of you who don't realize, that's the town-wide cleanup that we have in town here. To give you some background, this is the third year of the event, and I coordinated with the assistance of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. The event takes place for 5 weekends, mid-April through mid-May. Because of the interest we've had over the past years, we added a weekend this year. It used to only be 4 weekends. All our funding and supplies are through sponsorships. All the work is done by volunteers, and the projects include both school and town properties. I want to give you some pictures of some of the areas that we clean up. This is Orchard View Drive, the lot there. This is before Beautify Londonderry takes place. This is the skate park, the woods near the skate park. This is South Road. That's the town common area that we bring volunteers in to clean and plant there. The projects that are done on town properties is the skate park has litter cleanup. The senior center, we do both spring cleanup and planting. Same with the access center, the Morrison House, the town offices, and the town common. This is the tornado team, and they kicked off our event this year working on a Friday morning, cleaning the skate park. And this group collected 465 pounds of trash, and they incorporated it into their curriculum. They did a lot of monitoring what they picked up and weighing and other aspects, not just volunteering. They worked it right into all their activities with the school. And we put a new program in place where we offered out to the different schools that if they were able to coordinate 25 students. For every 25 students, they earn $250 worth of landscaping materials. And the efforts of the tornado team earn the middle school $1,000 worth of landscaping materials. This is the town employees landscaping our town offices. Yeah. It's more of the town offices. That's our after product. It's a little dark, but you can't see. But if you'd like to look on your way out, it's done very nicely. This is the front of the building out here, and that was done by the high school leadership program. They did all the landscaping in the front entrance of the building. This is where Scout Pack 605 was working on our town common. They did spread mulch, they planted, they raked. They worked down at the Morrison House also. A lot of groups we put out on roadside litter cleanup, and it was a total of 20 miles in town that we were able to clean litter up on. This is the list of the roads we covered this year. This is Nick's Litter Patrol working out on West Road. Nick Curl, all 3 years, has organized a group to work on West Road. He's a middle school student. Get a little delay here. There we go. That's the mixed group working some more. Finishing up. This is the lot in front of Orchard View EnviroSense. We also have, some companies don't just donate money, they also sponsor a team and clean up. We covered projects at all the schools. This is the Festival of the Youth working at Matthew Thornton. That was the entrance area there. All the perennials that were planted there were donated by Benson's. This is Matthew Thornton Boys and Girls Respect. They did a cleanup in the side area of Matthew Thornton School. And they also, with their group, organized, they earned $250 worth of landscaping materials for the Matthew Thornton School. So materials supplied for the school district included all the flowers for the schools this year, the mulch for the facilities, over 50 perennials. There'll be 4 Liberty elm trees planted in the fall, and 800 daffodil bulbs are all coming. So it was over $4,000 worth of materials that will be provided to the schools through Beautify Londonderry. These are all our groups that volunteered this year. The groups in green are the groups that were actually organized through the schools, with teachers getting groups together to work. All our sponsors, they provide everything from safety vests, bags, trash bags, recycling bags, gloves, mulch, perennials, and then some just cash so that we can buy the materials that we need. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Chuck Zappala, was very instrumental in helping me organize everything that was done at the school facilities, and Chief Ryan in the police department and the highway foreman. Russ Pickering and the highway crew go around and collect everything after all our volunteers pick it up. But I think it was a very successful event, and I hope that we can help coordinate it even bigger next year. So, thank you.
We have questions for Carolyn? Paul?
Carolyn, do you have it handy just to list what the school groups were that participated? You mentioned Boys and Girls Respect at Matthew Thornton, and I think the Tornado team at the middle school.
We had the Tornado team. We had the Londonderry Middle School Leadership Program at the high school, Matthew Thornton Boys and Girls Respect, the high school SAD program, the high school Student Council. The Student Council was really good because they had a group and they were actually scheduled to work the 13th of May, which was the huge rainstorm. And they came back in afterwards, and Chuck's crew had gone through and finished what was going to be their project. So they actually volunteered their time on Memorial Day weekend. We coordinated them with another group, and they did the plantings at the bandstand, in front of the bandstand on the town common. So they didn't give up when their date got rained out. They came back and finished up with another project.
And also Kelly's group?
Festival of Youth. They worked at Matthew Thornton.
Great.
Any other questions for Carolyn? About a round of applause? Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks.
Good photos. Now, are the photos on the website also?
This, I'm going to get everything up so that people can see the photo album on our webpage.
And the website is?
So if they go to londonderrynh.org, and under Boards and Commissions, look for Beautify Londonderry.
Great.
Thanks.
The next item on the list, so I don't surprise anyone. Mr. Corey, I'm going to ask you to step up. I'm reordering just slightly. And do you have an announcement for us?
Tonight, Londonderry Middle School has the honor to present to the school board Jenny Heffernan. Jenny, for the last 3 years, has participated in advanced math classes, math lab, and the Math Olympiad. Tonight, Jenny is receiving an award for her participation in the Math Olympiad. She is one of 38 students out of over 100,000 internationally who scored perfectly on all 5 of the Math Olympiad exams. It's my pleasure to bring Jenny forward and ask Mr. Young to present her with the George Lechner Award given to Jenny Heffernan in recognition of her wonderful achievement in mathematics.
order, you have to talk. So, they've got this being broadcast now, and it'll get rebroadcast for another 2 weeks, several times a day. Dad, Mom will be able to record it, and I'll send it off to the grandparents in case they're out of town. But I've provided you with this award, and I got one other thing, but before I give that to you, I'd just like to have you speak for me. Congratulations, by the way. You want to just say like one thing about and if you can, just talk into the microphone. Does anyone else have any other questions for Jenny before we stop torturing her? Thank you for coming, Jenny. And this is your mom and dad. Did either of them want to say anything? Oh, you know what, Mom? If you don't mind, I'm assuming your mom. I don't mean to. If you could come to the microphone, though. Otherwise, the people at home won't be able to hear. And any microphone's fine, so.
I wanted to tell you how happy I was with a little transport that materialized to take the kids from the high school to the junior high. Because I thought I might have to drive over.
Okay.
Very happy.
Great. Okay, thank you. The next item, Nate, is a recognition of retirees.
Yes, and we have a number of our retirees who are present here tonight, and we thought it would be a good idea to have them come up. Their principals can say a couple of words about them. There have been and will be retirement celebrations at their respective schools in different locations, but it was suggested by one of the school board members that we give them an opportunity to come up and give the board an opportunity to wish them all the best in their retirement. So if the retirees could come up, and I believe we have Ron Lewis here tonight, Lou Gratian, Joyce Fowler, Pat Cashman, Mary Foley, Peggy Ames, and Madeline Andrews. They could come up with their principals, and we'll start with Rich and Madeline, and if they can say a couple of words and give the board an opportunity to recognize them.
For 32 years, Madeline Andrews has worked in the Londonderry School District as an elementary teacher, and I've had the distinct honor and privilege of being Madeline's supervisor for the past 9 years. We had a wonderful turnout at Madeline's retirement party, and I know several board members attended that party. We had a great time. Madeline is a fabulous educator, not only a teacher of children, but a teacher of teachers. And the Londonderry School District, Madeline, is going to miss you as well as the North School community. Now, just one quick thing. Madeline has never gotten mad in the 9 years that I've known her, except for this one day when Madeline, after looping for several years and being a leader in that initiative in the district, she came to me and said, you know, Mrs. Aiken and I, we want a multi-age. And I looked at Madeline and I said, Madeline, do you think you really need to take this on at this point of your career? And she gave me a look, and the next day Madeline was multi-age teacher. So I want to thank Madeline. She is just an outstanding, outstanding educator. We are going to miss her.
South School. Peggy.
Something happened to this. Well, Peggy began her career at South School in 1986 as a special education assistant and became a special education teacher the following year. Since that time, except for the 3.5 years that she taught in Connecticut, Peggy has become our premier special education teacher for our most challenged students. She never gives up on a student or a family. She's an expert at using assessment to design instruction and has a vast repertoire of strategies for any child. On top of programming for students, she manages a number of assistants for follow-through in the classroom and the resource room. We just went through a round of interviewing candidates for Peggy, and it was very, very tough. We kept bringing back more people and more people and more people, and finally we found somebody, but she will never fill Peggy's shoes. But maybe we have a little bit of hope that, it will work for us. Although she's leaving a void at South School, she'll be sharing her talents with individual students. She'll be starting a tutoring business in her hometown. So we're going to miss her.
I have a distinct pleasure of bringing two retirees to the board this evening. The first one is Mary Falvey. Mary came to South School first in 1978, and then we were lucky enough to get her 13 years ago. She actually worked in my first grade classroom for a time, and Mary has come to be known the mother of all first grade. She serves in the cafeteria every single day with first graders. That's not an easy situation. You've heard of herding cats. Mary herds first graders and does it very well. We will sorely miss her, especially in that capacity, but I think all the first grade teachers will miss her. And she's also worked hard just as an employee, has supported the union and worked with the sick bank. So Mary really takes her job seriously, and we've been lucky to have her. She's a certified teacher, so we've been fortunate to have her. And then I have our friend Pat Cashman, and I know Sue Ballard joins me in bidding a fond farewell to Pat, who's been with us for 30 years. Pat's been an extraordinary person. When I first came to Matthew Thornton as a parent, she served in the library. She was the only one there, and she has watched everything grow at Matthew Thornton, and we've grown in our love for Pat. We especially love her bulletin boards. If you come over to Matthew Thornton and walk into the library, you'll see the beautiful bulletin boards that she creates that are always thematic as far as what the children are doing at the time. And she just adds brightness to all of us, and we're going to miss her and miss them both. So thank you.
Londonderry High School has 3 retirees. I hope it had nothing to do with me as your principal. But we are very proud of all 3 employees, teachers here at Londonderry High School. First, Lou Gratian. Lou has been with Londonderry, I believe, 21 years. Lou obviously is famous for computer education teacher, but even more well known, Lou has been our yearbook advisor for many, many years. And I can tell you, Jostens, who is the yearbook publisher, continually tells me that we have the best yearbook and the best yearbook advisor that he works with in the United States. Lou will be sorely missed, not only for his teaching ability, but also for what he's done for Londonderry High School yearbook. So Lou, thank you very much. Ron, I think, is next with 27 years, Ron Lewis, and Ron is, right now, it's called a tech ed teacher. I don't think that's what it was called 27 years ago when he started. But Ron has done so many different things. I first met Ron when I was at the junior high school in 82, 83. He'd come over with his basketball team from the high school. So I got to know Ron many, many years ago. Now Ron is still teaching at Londonderry High School for another week or so, and has done so many different classes in tech ed. And I think at the end I'll just say something combined about all 3 of them. Ron will be, Lou is going to Florida, and Ron is going to a place that's dear to my heart, Cape Cod, and he continually reminds me of that. Someday we'll be down visiting you, and so we're going to sorely miss Ron at Londonderry High School. Joyce Fowler has been for 28 years at Londonderry High School. I first met Joyce, even though she was teaching at Londonderry High School, as a parent, because Joyce is a Londonderry resident, and if you were a Londonderry resident in the last 25 years in Londonderry, you probably had me somewhere along the line. And I had Joyce's daughter, and Joyce is a business education teacher at Londonderry High School. She used to be the department head of business education. And Joyce really, over the last couple of years, has been really the impetus behind the Academy of Finance that we have at Londonderry High School. The unique thing about all three of these people is they all are in a field that has changed tremendously. When you think of English and social studies and math, they have changes every couple of years, but when you're in the fields like computer ed and tech ed and business ed, they are changing yearly. And it's amazing, over 75 years worth of history between the three of them, they have been able to retool and rechange continually and do outstanding job that they have done for so many years. And I thank them and I will miss them.
And that's all. No one else is going to retire on us tonight, right? Thank you, guys. We really appreciate you coming in and taking a night out, too, to let us embarrass everybody a little bit. If anybody wants to say anything, they can jump right in.
I've got to thank everyone here. You know, I've been here a while, and you look at what makes Londonderry an excellent school system, and I look out there and I say, these are the people that have made Londonderry what it is today. And the community is very grateful for all the work that you have put in here. A lot of you I've known personally, a lot of you have taught my children, and I know the work that you put into the classroom. Some of them, Madeline has many of my kids down at North School, so I thank you very much, and I wish you all well in retirement and where you're going, and thank you so much for teaching in Londonderry and giving it all your all for all these years. Thank you. Thanks so much. Good luck in Florida. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good luck.
No problem.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Good luck now.
Every time I see you, I think of Robert. He goes with you. Okay, congratulations.
Everybody's had a chance to use their tissues off camera, right? Okay. The next item on the list is Induction Institute team, and here's Mark Blunt.
Thank you, Steve. On behalf of the Londonderry School District, I'd like to take this time to recognize 5 extraordinary teachers: Martha Miller, Steve Jester, Judy Duval, Steve Iarochi, and Dee Pringle, who through their efforts have provided new teachers to Londonderry support and a solid foundation in which to become strong teachers for our schools. Utilizing the teachings of Charlotte Danielson and Harry Wong, as well as their own expertise and experiences and professional expertise within the district, the Institute has provided new teachers a roadmap to success. By focusing on the development of a K-12 professional learning community, a supportive environment, access to professional expertise, and opportunities for collaboration, the program has become an avenue for exploring the teaching practice as a guide for professional and personal growth. Starting out with just a handful of new teachers in 2003-04, including graduate Steve Iarochi, the program graduated 34 new teachers this year in its 7 sessions. Just as all great teachers do in their practice, the team analyzes, assesses, and reflects on the year completed in order to make the Institute more relevant to new teachers entering the schools in the fall. The 2006-07 Institute promises to be better than ever. Topics will include the first days of school, organization and classroom environment, the Londonderry School District observation, evaluation, and professional development process, special education, response to intervention, data collection, assessing student learning, designing instruction, engaging students in learning and reading in the content areas, using questioning and discussion techniques, and reflection on teaching. Along with support from the Human Resources Department, district and school administrators, Londonderry could not ask more with these outstanding veteran teachers supporting new practicing teachers to our schools. It is indeed an honor this evening for the school board to recognize these respected teachers.
Just the students.
Okay. Martha, this certificate is awarded to Martha Miller in recognition of valuable contributions to the profession of teaching in the Londonderry School District through exemplary work with the Londonderry Induction Institute.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Taking care of all this.
Dave.
I know I meant young people getting out of school,
Right,
coming to the
right,
school.
right. They are.
Not our- Thanks, Steve, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next item is not on the agenda. I received word this evening that someone will be stepping down, and this person was seated very close to me when I started on the board and gave me quite a bit of advice, even though they didn't talk too much. And just so no one's confused, I have no indication that this person's retiring or leaving the district or anything like that, but I understand that this evening may in fact be the last board meeting. And she's been here for about 6 years, so Mrs. Me, if you wouldn't mind, I could get a hug, and I think the other board members might want one too. Well, Mrs. May, would you like to say anything?
Well, I've really enjoyed this. It was a unique position when I started. And no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving the high school. I'm not leaving teaching, and I'm not ready to retire. But I decided that after 6 years and just a rather stressful personal year for me with some family issues that a lot of you know about, that the time commitment was something I needed to take a look at. So it's really bittersweet. It's going to be very hard for me not to do it. Hopefully someone else will step up to it. I kept joking that I was going to try voting at some meeting and see if I got counted, or that I felt like the Supreme Court and I was just sort of here for life. And someone today said, or like George Washington, I've set the stage for the pattern afterwards. But I have enjoyed it. I want to thank the present and past board members for always making me feel like my opinion was respected. Hopefully I spoke in an articulate way and helped the board and the superintendent with some issues that came before it. So thank you.
Definitely, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
We have one more item to work with this evening. And Whitney, I understand that you'll be stepping down. And before you do that, if you would like to introduce your replacement, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, do you want me to stay here and do it?
Hmm?
Do you want me to stay here and?
Well, stepping down really means stepping down this evening.
That's tough crew here.
Oh, no, you could have sat in your chair and talked, but,
I'll come up here.
okay.
As you all know, I'm graduating. It's gonna make me cry. Last year, coming in after her, it was really hard because he did an amazing job, and I knew I could never stand up to that, but I did it in my own way. And I'm here tonight, and I have the pleasure of introducing next year's school board member, school board rep. This student is a junior at Londonderry High School, and he's been in the marching band for 3 years, and will be in it again next year. He's been in student council for only a year, but in that year he loved it. He loved every minute of it, and he, unlike most first-year members, went to every event we had. He went to all the state meetings, all the region meetings. He wanted to do everything, and I think that he will be perfect for this position. He's very involved in the school, and I would like to introduce Michael Craich as next year's school board rep.
Don't go away.
Is it okay? Talk?
Yeah, that's okay. Usually give them flowers. Where you going? Gonna miss you a lot.
Thank you.
The board has a few things for you.
Okay.
First of all, you'll find a gift certificate for something that we know you
Okay.
enjoy doing. This is, Nate said this is to make you stop crying.
Thank you.
And you actually, if you remember, you get
Got
to
it.
keep this, Herbert gets to keep
Thank
it.
you.
So,
Thank you.
and if you don't mind,
Yep.
Michael can come forward and you can have the night off.
These
I
are for
think
you
we-
guys, by the way.
I think Reed would like to address
Have her
you.
come here and give her a hug.
I asked her if she remembered what I said when she came aboard. And she didn't, but everybody forgets what I say anyway. But when she came aboard, I was so used to saying, Herb Darling, for 2 years, that when she came aboard, I said, if I say Whitney Darling, they'll throw me out of the room. So, Whitney Darling, wherever you are, you did a wonderful job.
I think
and
she's
you
working her way around the room.
Thank you.
Michael didn't expect this, so we're going to drag him right up, and I think Whitney's going to be off to say goodbye to a few people in the audience.
Good.
Thanks again, Whitney. And come back and visit us.
Yeah, she can vote pretty soon.
And run for office.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So, Michael, this is how it starts. Anybody mention the meetings sometimes go a little late?
Yeah, I was here for one of them.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I'm sure we'll become more familiar with you during the year as it goes on. So, thanks for coming on board. When we call on you for your liaison report, I noticed that Whitney left the papers from the school, so you can give those to us and make anything else up that you want, because you didn't know that this was going to happen tonight. So, at least you didn't know you were coming up front. The next thing, do I have any other questions, announcements from anyone before I move on? Anybody point out if I missed anything? We're okay? The next meetings that we have, posted meetings, July 25th, August 15th, both regular meetings here in this room. August 22nd and 24th are scheduled building tours. At 7 o'clock, those locations where they start will be announced at a future meeting. For anyone in the community that's interested in the school system, more particularly if you were interested in budget committee, school board, that type of thing, I'd recommend these as a nice starter. It's a great tour, and you get a chance to see the schools, including the beach. And if you don't know what the beach is, you have to come on the tour. August 29th at 7 o'clock is a regular meeting here in this office. And this Saturday, we have graduation at the Verizon Center at 2 o'clock. And on Monday, we have adult ed graduation. I believe that starts at 6:30 at the high school. And you know what's great about that? That will be our second broadcast. We'll be able to broadcast that with the new equipment versus just a handheld camera. So that'll be a great event. And the baccalaureate is Thursday?
7 o'clock. Palace Theater.
Keep going. 7 o'clock, Palace Theater, Thursday. We have a consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? The only discussion, Nate, the minutes for this were a joint school board, town council, and budget committee meeting. So they have all received copies of these minutes.
Yep.
And we're approving the minutes for us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. And it's 7:40, and we begin deliberation of policy JFCL.
Mr. Chairman, I move policy JFCL, breathalyzer testing for the third reading for adoption.
Second.
We have a first from Ron to move this third reading for adoption, and a second by Dan. And I know that there'll be discussion, so I won't call for it. Nate, the first item to address, I would think, is we had a citizen bring up concerns with the law and past cases and that type of thing. Can you review that, please?
Yeah, sure. Tom Frieda had brought to the board's attention several cases from Arkansas regarding use of a breathalyzer. And we forwarded those cases on to our attorney, Matt Upton, and for his review and his analysis and a recommendation back to us. And I included his response in the board's packet, and I'll read this for the audience. I have reviewed the Arkansas cases that you forwarded to me. Before I get into the mechanics, let me make two significant observations. First, these cases, although relevant, predate a series of decisions by the United States Supreme Court upholding warrantless searches of students and random drug testing of students engaged in extracurricular activities other than sports. Secondly, these cases are pre-Columbine cases. Since Columbine, the courts have recognized that students' rights must be balanced against the safety of other students and staff. The trend favors safety over student rights. With that said, as I read these cases, the use of the breathalyzer was found lawful under the circumstances. One significant quote from the court was, "Taking a student to the police station to blow into a breathalyzer machine is a little more invasive in itself than taking a child to a five and dime store to blow into a balloon. In the case of the proposed policy, asking them to take a breathalyzer does not even include the trip to the station." Like the proposed policy, the court in Annabelle v. Ford looked at the facts to determine whether or not there was sufficient factual basis for the school to reasonably conclude that the student had been drinking. The court looked at the student's physical characteristics, smell of alcohol in the breath, and erratic behavior. The proposed policy requires that the school look at the very same factors in arriving at reasonable suspicion. Although these cases do stand for the proposition that certain searches, in your analysis, may be unconstitutional in the facts of these cases do not rule the use of a breathalyzer was improper. While I seriously question the validity of the rulings even on the urinalysis issue, the cases do not attack the use of a breathalyzer where there is conduct that would lead to a reasonable person to conclude the student had been drinking. Accordingly, my opinion remains unchanged that the proposed policy is constitutional.
Discussion on the board? Questions or comments from the public? We have, I know our officer stepped out.
Right. Mike will be back at, I believe he said 8. Oh, there you go.
Seeing no questions from the board or the public, we'd like our, no. Mike, do we have any open items with you in regards to this? Anything that you were waiting for as far as documentation, paperwork, information?
The one document that I wanted to get from Bingham High School, because they just recently had their prom, and they passed something, I was waiting for their version of what they were going to use to regulate the use of their alcohol blows, and I have not received it as far as I know, and Joe Macaron has been handling the office while I'm out, and I did not speak to him today. The only thing I really wanted to get my hands on to see how it went. I did, however, get a call from just grab his name. I received a call from a gentleman who's running the program at Bingham. It said that, Doug Stento, that said that when they took it to the public before the prom was going to be held, and they had very positive results from their public meeting. And that's the last I heard on that from Rick Westfall or anybody else down in Binghamton.
Only reason I'm calling once again for anyone in the public, we have had quite a bit of conversation on this. I believe we've been through 5, possibly 6 meetings. I know we've had over 8 hours of testimony on it. Just wanted to make sure that everybody's had a chance to speak. You just give your name and whichever you select. That's right.
My name is Julie Lee. I would just like to express my support for the breathalyzer test. I simply see it as a tool that the administration can use to uphold the policy or enforce the policy that's already in place at the high school, and that is zero tolerance for drug and alcohol. And that's basically what I have to say.
Further comments? Final discussion from the board?
Oh, sorry.
Hi, my name is Martha Smith. I have 2 children in the Londonderry school system. And my feeling about this is that if it can be a deterrent and send a definite message to all of our students that alcohol does not mix with school, I am fully for it. Thank you.
Paul, and then George?
Nate, the plan is to have this in place and ready once the next school year begins?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'd just like to, again, make sure, request that prior to that, the board gets a chance to see any training plans, documentation, things that are going to be prepared to support this and outline the rules and regs that we live by in setting this up just for our information.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
George?
Thank you, Steve.
As most of you know, I'm probably the one holdout here that has wrestled with this, lost sleep over it. I'm just not completely convinced. So I'm just going to read something very quickly, and then we can move on, vote, and probably not have to discuss this hopefully again. We've heard from probably 18 students or so who think the policy is a good one. We've heard from many parents, including, two here tonight, on both sides of the fence, frankly. Some of those folks have expressed concern about the policy. We've heard from some individuals that they want to be present if their child is tested. We've heard that the policy will be a deterrent. We've heard that the breathalyzer would be rarely used. We've heard that the policy offers students a chance to prove that they are innocent. We've heard that the test is unobtrusive. We've heard that there is a fear that we're going to open ourselves up to lawsuits. I just want to address a couple of those points. To date, we've been provided no definitive proof that these types of policies are indeed a deterrent. We've only heard that some people believe that they are a deterrent. We have no proof that they are. To ask a child to prove his innocence is contrary to our constitutional guarantee that we are all innocent until we are proven guilty, and that we are protected from self-incrimination. After Mrs. Creed took the test during our last session, I could not help but wonder if the approximate 5 to 7 seconds she had to blow into the device would be considered unobtrusive by a scared 15-year-old. I do indeed believe that we will be challenged. I feel that we will be challenged the first time that a student takes the test and passes. We will be exposed to charges of false accusation. I believe that any challenge will consume administration's time, it will consume this board's time, and it will cost the taxpayers money. It will generate headlines, and most importantly, it will take the focus away from the delivery of education to our children, as all challenges of this nature do. And I ask, by not reporting a positive test to the police and sending a child home with his parents, are we condoning the crime of internal possession here in New Hampshire? With all that said, I think that adopting a policy that will be used infrequently, that potentially exposes the district to legal challenges, and has not been proven to be a deterrent, and does not require parental consent is a mistake. The current policy works, and our focus should be on the root cause of the problem, and our efforts should be on a community-wide program to combat alcohol consumption by our young people. Thank you.
Other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
So 4-1. Maybe Joe, or wrong board. But George.
That was close.
George is the dissenting vote on that. I'm going to need a motion for all of the other items because that wasn't included with this motion.
I make the motion, Mr. Chairman, for regulation JFCLR, JIHR.
You can read them.
No, the reason I stopped there is that the student discipline, I have one question on that one. I'll make a motion on all of them then. Regulation JGR, student discipline, policy JFCH, JFCI, student alcohol use and drug abuse, policy JFCH, JFCI, R, and E, student suspension, readmission contract for the third reading.
Second.
So for the third reading and to accept. You had a comment, Ron?
Yeah, on policy JGR, one of the questions I have made is a student offense. Shouldn't there be something under there for, we spoke about reasonable suspicion in our regulation, but it's not in there, and that should be under the student offense that is, under the influence of our reasonable suspicion has been established that the student has been under the influence.
Where are you, Ron?
Right over here, level 3 offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Ron, what we
Oh.
can add in is after reasonable suspicion has been established.
Right.
And we just add that in, and the board wants to accept that as an amendment, that's, okay, that would be under level 3, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yep, there you go.
I have one more question on it. I'm going to move away, and I don't know, if the Chair gives me permission to move away from alcohol. you don't have the same reasonable, you have to catch someone with drugs, possession or use of drugs, as opposed to if someone comes in and is demonstrating, shouldn't that be the same type of deal for drugs, or should we deal with that at a different point?
Well-
Do you understand what I'm saying? Here, it says you physically have to catch them with
Right.
the stuff, and I would think that we would, in the policy, have something where if someone comes in and they're,
If their behavior indicates.
Yes.
What we do is look to observe the physical characteristics similar to what we've done in the past. If we believe that the youngster is under the influence of an illicit drug, sometimes we'll send that youngster to the nurse. The principal will make contact, conduct an interview. Many times we get a confession from the youngster, and then we can also do a search of locker or ask permission to search a person.
all I'm saying, is it covered here if they don't
Yes.
have, how is it, which one is it covered under if they don't have it? Is it just use of prohibited substance?
Yes. Possession, use of prohibited substances, including alcohol, drugs, and drug paraphernalia. Excuse me.
Okay. It doesn't look that clear on there. Someone could say possession/use as one thing. You'd have to have possession. That's the only question I'm having, is the wording on it. Should there be something, possession or use? It almost seems like you have to,
The way it's interpreted is either the youngster has used it and has stuff in his possession, either physically or in his pocket, let's say, or internal possession, or has not used it and is in possession of the drug.
okay.
Okay?
I gotcha.
So the motion was to accept all of those regulations to adopt or to amend, with the one change being in JG-R. There's a minor text change on the
Yes.
Right.
left-hand side. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0? Sorry, didn't hear you guys. 5-0?
Yes.
It's still Officer Coral, isn't it?
Yes.
Just thought I'd check. Watching Joe, he spent a lot of hours with us, and I'd just like to thank you for that, and the amount of time that you spent with us on this, and with the community, to talk to them about it, to explain from your point of view how you felt on that. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Good luck, Mike,
Thank you.
in your new endeavors.
Mr. Chairman, I move policy EDDA, internet law and email retention for the third reading.
Second.
EDDA for the third reading, to adopt.
Evening. Policy EDDA is before the board for its third reading. This is internet log, email, and voicemail retention policy. And previously, the board had indicated that they would request one additional change in the language that had been proposed, so that administrative personnel will delete email messages and other miscellaneous internet data that is in excess of 60 days old without further notification, changes to in excess of 90 days old without further notification. And also, the board had indicated their desire to make sure that administration is responsible for making sure that all members of the staff are fully informed of the implementation of this policy well in advance, so that there would be no chance of someone not being informed and losing something potentially critical to their needs. And Mr. Curl and I will work together with our staffs to make sure that the education program is launched, that staff have ample understanding of what this policy means, and that before any first strike, I guess, that they're given fair warning on numerous occasions as we implement the policy.
Dan?
Sue, how often is it an everyday event, 90 days from date of email? How are we going to delete? Is it periodically throughout the school
Peter
year?
answered
Is it every day?
We're doing it on a quarterly basis, so
Oh.
so that way there, it's October 1st for everybody. So every 90 days, we'll send out a message.
Alert or something?
Right, and then
Probably
just picking October 1st.
a month
We'll go in and delete.
in advance of that anniversary date, and then a couple more reminders on a weekly basis as that date
So
gets
4 times a
closer.
year.
And
Right.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions for Sue? Okay, thank you. One minute. Oh, good. There's a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move policy for second reading, JHCG, wellness policy.
Second.
First by Ron, second by George. Discussion? Nate, so people aren't confused in the home audience, since this is a second reading, just very briefly, what this is about?
Yes, the Child Nutrition and Reauthorization Act of 2004 requires each local education agency that receives funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to develop and implement a policy that in essence promotes a healthy diet and wellness and activity. Absent this policy, we would not be able to receive our pinto beans or lima bean supplies from the federal government. So this policy butts up well with the previous policy that the board had adopted several months ago regarding fitness and wellness. And basically, the outline of this policy is showing that we offer a school lunch program with appropriate meal patterns. We have meals available for students that have special diet. We operate all our nutrition programs with food service staff that are properly trained. We have food safety component, adequate time for students to eat, encourage students to make food choices based on the 2005 dietary guidelines, supervised cafeteria, nutritious and appealing snack options, promote the use of non-food rewards for student accomplishment, encourage school-based organizations to offer healthy foods for fundraising, student access to vending machines that sell healthy snacks, and I believe if you've gone to the high school lobby, you've seen the yogurt stuff that they've got in there. They've got healthy snack machine. We commitment to physical activity, and the board had adopted, as I mentioned before, a physical activity policy, appropriate nutrition programs, and a commitment to implement in the forming and ongoing support of a wellness committee. So, policy is required, in essence, by law to allow us to continue to get surplus foods and funding from the federal government, and the policy actually makes sense and is consistent with things that we've been doing over the past years. Don't have the policy, we can't get pinto beans.
Further discussion? No, one of the items on here was a board member, I think, Paul, you had volunteered to
Serve on the committee.
serve on this committee.
Paul said he'd bring cupcakes to the meeting.
All those in favor of policy GHCG?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0. And next item on the list is the Algebra 1 text.
Thank you, Steve.
You kept looking to the audience for support.
Well, actually, I was looking for our two curriculum coordinators this evening for part of the answers, question and answer session.
to their benefit, they may not have expected us to
That's
such an
that's
accelerated
my
agenda.
that would be my guess. Well, this evening, as found in your school board packets, the first one is the Algebra 1 text. As you know, this past fall, it was included as part of our district strategic plan, and it was has been budgeted for the fiscal 2007 school year. The textbook, as you see, the Algebra 1 textbook was considered not only for Londonderry High School, but for Londonderry Middle School. Part of our thought was to provide for greater consistency between Algebra 1 that's being taught at Londonderry Middle School as well as at the high school. The second component, as we had brought to the board earlier in the year, was the credit for the middle school students. So when the state, should they get in a position where we are able to offer high school credit to middle school students, we will be in a very good position for that to move ahead. This particular text, if you see on page 1, the committee is recommending the Algebra 1 McDougall-Littell series to replace the existing text, which is a Glencoe Algebra 1 textbook from 1998. The committee selected the text after reviewing 3 other publishers from Addison Wesley, Glencoe, and the University of Chicago. They evaluated it on clarity, validity, selection of content presented in the text, whether there was logical building approach by the authors, whether relevant activities supported each unit, the support materials in connection with the national mathematics standards. This proposal contains approximately 500 textbooks, with about 380 going to the high school level, approximately 110 going to the middle school level. The total cost, as found on page 3, total $35,000, which is within the budget that we set for FY07. Any questions that you have?
Ron?
Just a couple of questions. First one is, I look at the technology. Are we all set with the technology on this? Does it affect the computers that we have in the schools? How does it work with the technology?
Thank you, Ron. I did meet with Joe Oswald briefly today. She did look over the specifications that is part of the Algebra 1 text recommendation. She said that they do fall within the existing hardware that we do have available at our high school.
Excellent. Second question is, and in our process, we talk about doing a pilot program on textbooks as we go in here, as we change. This one we're implementing. Why at the high school level, the middle school level, we don't do the pilot type of program? Just, is it so small because there's so few children in here? Just to give an example, so if someone asks a question, they have the answer out there.
I would agree with you, yes, on what you just commented. I would also say, too, at the middle and high school level, teachers are trained in content-specific areas, so they are able to take the textbook and implement it in a much more rapid fashion than at the elementary level.
The other thing is, I think it's an excellent idea that now the children at the middle school and the high school are using the same textbook, getting the same material and the same curriculum there, so there's no question, well, it was easier at the middle school. They're taking the same course, and I think that's an excellent way to proceed in here, and I give the administration credit for combining the two schools to come up with the same curriculum and course work.
Also, too, I'd like to commend Mark. If you notice, the template that Mark used in making the presentation is the one that the board has seen for technology, and I think it lays it out in a very clear and efficient fashion all the salient points and information, and Mark and the committee are to be commended. Very nice job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ron, this is a standard template we use for the purposes like this, is that right?
This is something that was developed by the Technology Committee, and the C3 Committee has adopted that as the future method of doing it. What you're going to see in the future now on the technology, they're going to add a third column to this to tell you how well they did and what problems they ran into. So I think it's a great idea. I think now that the district is using the same idea, it gives us all the points changing a little bit for curriculum, but I think it's a nice template to give us all the questions that we would ask each time. And we could add, if we have something else, we can add to it, and it'll be answered in the process.
Yeah.
Can you just, Ron, could you just on page 3, when they talk about costs, it looks like they group it into 3 categories. It says initial estimates of costs, and then initial estimate on recurring or subsequent costs, and then implementation costs. Could you just characterize the difference between those 3?
Sure. What it is there was a cost of how much is it going to be if we have to have substitutes to do some training, and the pilot materials, if we have to do that. That's the first one on the estimate of cost hours. Includes substitute costs for any project release times, pilot material costs if applicable. That's just the cost there. Recurring cost is when we have the reading program, there are workbooks in the process. So when we look at a cost here, what we ask the committee to say is, what is the cost going to be every year going forward on this? That the books are for $1,000, but the workbooks that we have to replace each year is $100,000. Not that it's a true number. So we would have a full cost as we're looking at the project on it. And the third one is the implementing cost is what is the total cost of the buying the books.
And let me just add, Paul, to Ron's run through. The initial estimates of dollar an hour cost on page 3 that you see here, the $28.50 is summer curriculum work. So the high school Algebra 1 teachers and the middle school algebra teachers will be getting together this summer to actually plan curriculum.
I think the underlying idea, same as with technology, was to give the board an idea of what the loaded cost was. So there are various components of implementing a program, recurring cost, initial cost, and then obviously, in this case, the purchase of the textbook. And if you remember back when Mark and the committee presented the reading, he presented in the same fashion. Here's what your recurring costs are going to be. Here's what your initial startup cost is, and here's what your training is. So when the board looks at this, you don't walk away thinking, well, it's just $35,000. Well, that's a lot of money. I mean, not just $35,000, but there's also a training component. As with the reading program, there's the initial cost, and then there's going to be an ongoing cost, so that the board then is aware that each year in the budget, you're going to have recurring costs associated with the reading program, your workbooks, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives the board a broad picture, and I think it helps in long-range planning as well as short-range planning, and the board is aware of where the dollars are going.
And the last item that we have is the cost avoidance. If you remember the reading program, because we bought the reading program, we got a bunch of discounts on a lot of the workbooks for 4 years, and that was the cost avoidance part of this job, if there was.
Right, so that's a potential too.
Yes.
So for budget purposes, we estimated what all this would be, and
Yes,
we
sir.
had a line item, and we're pretty close to that, are
Yes.
we not?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Absolutely. Mark did a great job with the reading and with the other stuff in negotiating with the publishers and twisting their arms a little bit.
Other questions from the board?
Need a motion? Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the administration for the Algebra 1 textbooks for the middle school and high school.
A second?
First and a second by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. World history.
The second recommendation on text that you have this evening is for world history. Again, this was part of the district strategic plan and was budgeted in the FY07 budget. The current textbook that's in use at our high school that you see in the initiative template is World History, Patterns of Civilization dating from 1986. We've gotten our money's worth, I believe. Maybe you can vouch for that, Mrs. Me, that indeed they have been used very well. The text that's being recommended this evening is World History, Modern Era from Prentice Hall. The committee did look at several other texts during their review. Again, they went through a similar process that the math department did in their process, with the exception that the committee looked at the national standards of social studies as well as the state frameworks in social studies. If you look on page 4 of the document, there is initial costs, again, for summer curriculum work that's scheduled this summer that will total $3,150. There are no ongoing costs for this program. The implementation costs total $35,750, and it does fall within the budget that was submitted for the FY07 budget. Other cost savings, teacher additions and support materials have been included at no additional cost. Any other questions for the board? I'll be happy to answer, or Ms. Bosiak, I believe, is in the audience. Maybe not.
Nope.
Oh, Mrs. Freiberger is. Okay. Okay.
Questions for the board?
No problem with computers on these?
Again, we did have those checked, and again, they are within current hardware specifications.
Paul?
I'm just wondering, Barbara, you served on the committee, if you had any comments on this choice.
I think I'm the one that initiated it. This one abbreviates the ancient cultures a little bit, and the middle school, I believe, is going to do a little bit more with that. Essentially, I think if you add up that committee, I don't know, you have about 150 years of experience teaching world history. We can't do 5,000 years in a year. We can't start with the ancient cultures and get up to anything beyond World War II. And for our freshmen at this point, World War II is about as ancient as Mesopotamia is. So I happened to make the comment at one point that if we were looking at a new book, maybe it was time to shift. And as much as many of us really like the ancient world and like making connections, maybe we needed to move through that a little bit faster. It's similar, I think, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, with what the U.S. history teachers did in the sophomore year to abbreviate the colonial part a little bit and try to get to a more global U.S. We want to get to a more global world and actually have them perhaps going out understanding that Africa is not a country. One of the things that most of us liked, Barbara Marzik actually piloted the Prentice Hall, and Peter Willis piloted the Glencoe this year. And one of the things we liked the most about the Prentice Hall was connecting it with some of the things from Tavani and the reading things that we've been doing. It's a single page, as a single page column as opposed to double columns on a page. And some things like that seem to come out of Tavani that it makes it easier for a struggling reader. I know that Barbara Marzik did a lot with a lot of the ancillary things that come with it. She liked it, and most of us in world history, there's 4 or 5 of us that have worked together for 20 years, and we pretty much are able to say, okay, fine, I trust you, and so we're excited about it. A bit of shifting and, you know, revamping, looking at what we do, what we can cover, adding some new things, getting a little further than 1945.
And I noticed there's about 800 pages or more in here, which you'll do your best to cover, I'm sure. Are there any other supplementary readings that go along with this?
I've looked very briefly at it. I know that we're going to get together the first 2 days after school gets out and work on it. I've gone to the website. Actually, if you go to the Prentice Hall website, you can find the book. You can click on the book. You can click on all kinds of things. One of the things that Barbara mentioned, and I tried it, is for almost every section in each chapter, there's a vocab test online. The students can do it, it's 10 words. They can do it themselves, score themselves as kind of a little section review. Computer access, they're going to have internet access at home to access the textbook at home and to access some of the things. There's a lot of downloadable things that you can use. A pretty good chunk of stuff with it, I think, that, you know, again, for most of us, it's going to be the same material, but we're going to look at it in a new way, and how do we do it a little better, and how do we move a little faster.
Any other questions for Mark?
Need a motion? Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to support the recommendation of the administration on purchasing of the world history text.
A second.
Motion by Dan, second by Paul. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
IT capital lease purchases.
Right That'd be me. In your packet is a memo I supplied. The memo is a memo outlining the purchases. I gave a copy of the specs of the workstations. Underneath that is a document that kind of describes the categorization of the workstations through the tech committee. And the last page I gave you is a draft schedule of servers, replacement servers, and these are just servers that are in the district as if things go along and servers need to be replaced. This does not include any new servers from any new programs or curriculum agendas that may come along. In the FY07 budget, the capital lease was approved with 23 workstations. The budgeted price per workstation was $800. Although we haven't approved a vendor, yet the bids have come in, and I can tell you that the bids are below the $800 per price for the workstation. The 23 workstations would go in the high school library, and I believe 8 of the 23 will go in the middle school library. We would then take about 15 of the workstations that would be pulling out of the high school library and putting those into classrooms over the middle school. And that should take care of the one void of classrooms that don't have workstations in the middle school. Thereby, at the middle and high school, every classroom should have at least a moderate level workstation. Network servers, the only difference is in the budget or in the capital lease, there were 4 servers that were approved. The reason why there's 3 being requested is we had to buy a server on an emergency basis in March. That server was purchased out of food service funds, since it will, sometime in the middle of the summer, be the primary server for all food service programs anyways. So it was really appropriate to use food service funds to cover it. The server that died was the host unit for the what's called site manager for the food service program and all the high school food service accounts. The budget for servers in the capital lease was $5,000. And based on the quote, this is not a bid, just a quote to make sure that we were in the ballpark. The service looked like they'll come in at $5,500.
Questions from the board? Ron?
Peter, what is the speed of the workstations?
I believe, now I have to find it. See what it says, on the first, second from the bottom,
Okay.
2.8 to 3.0 megahertz. You got
Okay,
Intel?
there it is. Thank you, I missed that.
The P4 kind of, you know,
Other questions for Peter? Dan?
Peter, I remember years ago, how effective are we using the Crystal Report Enterprise Program?
we use Crystal Reports.
And who's we? Who
District-wide.
actually uses it now? Because
The programs that use Crystal Reports now is Munis. In fact,
but who's trained to actually write the reports?
the
Wasn't that
expert.
an issue a few
yeah,
years ago?
It was. I think we've got that pretty much resolved because Tom, I would say Tom's level of writing Crystal Reports on a scale of 1 to 10 is about an 8.
Okay.
He can whip them out about as fast as I've known him. And I've known a couple of people that can do Crystal Reports. The good thing about Crystal Reports is if it's written correctly, you really only write it once. You might make some modifications, but once it's written, it pulls the data the way it's supposed to, sorts and whatever else. People like Carol Mack, myself, Irene, I would say we're mid to low end Crystal Reports. I can whip out a quick Crystal Report to do something I need, but anything above that, it's Tom. Like I said, what's good about it is once someone asks for it and the report's done, it's out there, it's published, which is what the enterprise does.
Right.
It publishes the report, so district-wide users are available to use it.
I guess I remember this conversation
Yep.
about 4 years ago. And the reason I bring it up for the other board's member edification and consideration is maybe there should be some additional emphasis put on training or utilization because we bought the programs.
Right.
And we bought the server that supports this, but we're still, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but we're still limited to the people within the district. You mentioned 4.
Right.
That actually have the availability to attempt to write a Crystal Report, so.
Yeah, it's a tough one to train.
I understand.
Because-
It's the same thing we talked about many
Yep.
years ago. But it doesn't sound like we added Tom.
Right, but unfortunately, the industry, whenever you're writing like a program of the magnitude of Munis or SMS, and there's a third one now, a health office.
Right.
It's easier to use Crystal because you're learning one program, and all you need to know then is where the data is located in the particular databases, and then your knowledge of Crystal then takes over. You're right. It's a tough one, and the reason why it's really tough is not because Crystal itself is hard, but because it's one of those, if you don't do it frequently enough, you never get to the level. You never get past, let's say, my level of low to mid, because you don't do it enough on a frequent basis to get any higher.
Well, there's certainly a benefit to it.
Yes.
It's just that if we have one quasi-Tom at an 8, if Tom moves on, we have the 3 of you at a 3, you said.
Right.
So just something
I
to give some
understand.
consideration to over the next course of time, whatever that might be. Thank you.
Any questions for Peter? Paul?
So Peter, are we approving a dollar figure tonight?
You're approving the actual purchases of the 23 workstations and the 3 servers, and as I said, I can tell you from the bids that the workstations are about $650 a workstation. And the network servers, I gave you the quote to say, I don't think that's gonna change a whole lot from where it is now.
This May 9th quote?
Yeah.
So in other words, the bids came in
If
that
the
ballpark?
bids came in, well, this is 16,000, right? If the bids came in at 20, I'd be coming back to you and say, something happened that, RAM tripled or whatever reason. But I think somewhere around the 16,000 that I gave you is where that number's gonna come in for these 3 servers. But as I said, in the capital lease, there's actually 4 times $5,000 for network servers.
Right, you have all the bids now?
I have the bids for the workstations. We are getting the bids for the servers.
That's later this month?
Should be, I think it's Friday or Wednesday, I'm not sure what the date was.
Okay, thank you.
And in servers, you're kind of limited, because there's only 3 or 4 manufacturers that will do network servers. IBM, Dell, HP, and there's another one called Supermicro. So it isn't like we're workstations where you can either buy brands or you buy clones, you know, where a company will build them themselves. You're really limited to maybe 4 or 5 brands that will sell network servers of this size.
So we know, so we know what to expect.
Peter, when we send this out, do we get bids from the Dell and Gateway and Compact on this bid?
We would get,
Do we get them?
yes,
Okay.
we go on the website.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was a question that I had, and rather than ask it, can you specifically, you have here a very detailed request for quote. Can you please list off what companies this request for a quote went to?
I can't tell you exactly all of them. I can tell you 7 quotes went out, 4 came back. 4 companies sent back bids.
So you don't know,
I can tell you Showtime was one that responded, ADEC was one that responded, CompUSA responded, and I can't think of who the 4th one was. I know Multimedia Systems did not respond, and a company in Lebanon, I can't remember the name, did not respond.
so that's 5. The other 2 you don't recall?
Off the top of my head, I can give you the list. I have the list in my, you know,
And the quote for servers went out to the 3
went
or
out
4
to
people that
TurboTax.
manufacture them?
Yep.
Which were?
Well, TurboTax is an HP compact dealership. We did one for Dell, and TurboTax can also bid on a Supermicro. I believe CompUSA was also asked to bid on a server.
Why didn't,
And there's a company, it's a company put out by GFOA that does technology for municipalities and school districts. They were also asked to bid on the server.
I'm sorry, Ron?
No, I think George is.
George?
Peter, I probably, excuse me. I guess what I don't understand is why are we only sending the bid to resellers? Everybody you
For the
quote,
servers.
everybody you quote, they're all resellers.
Right, for the
Why-
servers.
Why aren't we going directly to the sources, to the manufacturers?
HP will do resellers. Dell does direct, and we did go on the website and pull down a server quote from Dell. So we did do them direct. HP will go through resellers, which TurboTax is a authorized HP /
I understand what
Comtech
resellers
reseller.
are. I understand. But you say you pulled something down from Dell, and I think Steve asked, or somebody asked about Compaq, and somebody asked about
HP and
Gateway, I
Compaq
believe.
are the same.
Okay, I guess, that's fine. I'm sorry, thank you.
Let me ask the question differently. On the workstations, do we have a bid from Dell? Let me be very specific.
Yes, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that wasn't, Peter, I hate
That's
to be argumentative, but it was Showtime, ADEX, CompUSA, Multimedia Systems, a company in Lebanon, and then there were 2 others.
Dell might have been one of them that we pulled down off the
Okay, but you
website.
said Dell was the server that you pulled down off the website. That was the that was the second server company. TurboTax was the first, then Dell, then CompUSA.
I,
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess, I know we could pull it off the web. Why wouldn't we have them bid it, since it's not like Ron Campo going and buying a single computer? I'm buying 28 of it. All I'm
Because
going by
that's
is.
how, when we call Dell, that's the response we get. You go on the web, you plug in what specs you want, and they spit out, the email spit out a quote back to you. And that's what we did.
Okay. I guess,
And I'll just say that the reason for the workstations that we would be cautious about buying Dells is because of the proprietary environment of buying Dells. Whereby, if we buy, I'll use the word IBM clones, when we have a situation where we must just swap out motherboards, we just swap out common motherboards. We don't have to swap out, or if we want to upgrade RAM, we don't have to buy Dell manufactured RAM. We just buy RAM. We go on the market or a common vendor and buy whatever, 820 sticks of RAM. You don't need to buy Dell or IBM specific parts and RAM and drives and whatever. That's one of the reasons why we've always tried to stay away from proprietary companies on the workstations.
the,
Other questions?
yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
When we purchase these computers and we get them in and we get the price, they will be a Category 4 computer. They will not be a Category 5 computer that we just got a real good price on.
Right.
Okay.
Nobody makes a motion, I'm going to go on to the next item.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the IT capital lease purchases.
Second. We have a first and a second, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? 4-1, that was the sending vote. Driver's ed contract.
Yes, you have before you a proposal for a contract for Mr. H's driving school. And the history, a couple of years, actually about 3.5 years ago, school board recognized that there was a significant backlog of students trying to get into driver's ed schools, driver's ed classes at the high school, and they thought the idea of adding a second vendor to the driver's ed supply would alleviate the problem, allow kids better choices of getting into the program, and allow them to have a better chance of getting into the first choice. A lot of times, if kids are in athletics or band or other co-curricular activities, they have to pretty much structure their driver's ed classes around not only the school day, but also the co-curricular activities. And having two driving ed schools, we thought would do that. And in fact, over the past 3 years with Saul's, it has. However, Saul is cutting back the amount of school districts and clients that are serving is not quite going out of business, but just cutting back on the number. And Mr. Mike Holton, who has been with Saul for a long time and has been the lead person with Londonderry High School, in that he has been the one that has set up the classes, done the scheduling, done the teaching in the classroom, the driving instruction, has put his proposal in to take over the void that Saul's driving school is leaving. We checked out references. We got an excellent reference from Mr. Jack Ruby over in Pinkerton. And from talking to Jim, we think that, at least from the student's point of view, since Mr. Holden is really the point contact, there'd be no difference from the student's point of view. He's the one that's been most visible in there anyways.
Dan, and then Ron?
Two questions, brief. So this is simply to replace Saul's. We're still contracted with A&R?
Yes.
Okay. Second question is, roughly how many students can we service with these two contracts if we approve this one tonight?
I believe each one of them was having somewhere between 15 and 20 kids in a class.
Okay.
The problem is, as I said, it's, when we had just A&R, kids were getting their second and third choice. So they were eventually getting it, but their second and third choice. But I think more apparent was kids that had the smaller window when you get co-curricular athletics, and they needed to fit in particular slots in order to either finish up athletics or band and then get the driver's ed. The added supply of two vendors makes it a lot easier for them to juggle their schedule. And in fact, I would guess that somewhere close to 95% of the kids are getting their first choice of selection for driver's ed
guess-
classes.
I think you answered my question, because in this contract, I don't see a time that the course will be offered, but it's to be offered around the kids' co-curricular
Yes.
activities, like if they're in tennis, soccer, baseball.
Yeah, they usually have a class right after school.
No,
and
but
then
I'm saying
there's-
Mr. H or whoever he is here is going to continue that. Okay.
He's pretty much going to piggyback the exact schedule that Saul had.
That's my question. I didn't see a time that he had indicated for the class. Thank you.
Ron?
Okay, I'm going to go a couple of things. One of the things I'd like to recommend to the board is, I would assume Mr. H is a brand-new driving school.
He's been in operation for 8 months.
Okay. What I would like to do and recommend to the board is that we approve a one-year contract with an option for 2 years after that the administration could implement if there's no problems, the principal and the business administrator. It doesn't have to come back to me, but give us an out after 1 year if for some reason it doesn't work. Second thing is, one of the things I'd like to see in the contract, I'm going to kind of go on Dan's item, is yes, they have these classes. I know my son Justin had a class at 7 o'clock in the evening. I would like to put in this contract, and then when A&R comes up here, is that between the two of them, someone offers a class at 7 or 7:30 in the evening to take care of those co-curricular activities and not start at 6 o'clock and force people to move. So I'd like a time put in there that they need to coordinate with the other company, that one of them each semester off, or each driving period offers a course that starts later on to pick up those students that have it. I would assume everyone, as long as the high school principal agrees that they're able to do driving during the day,
Yes.
and that would be part of it. Is this a single person or multi-person type of operation?
He is the owner, and he has others working under him.
Okay, so there possibility for multiple things. That's all the questions I have or suggestions I have.
Paul?
Yeah, that's the reason I.
Peter, any driving school in New Hampshire has to form and operate according to certain state laws and are certified by the state.
Yes.
So when our contract says the district will oversee the delivery of services rendered by the contractor, what does that mean?
Pretty much what Ron was getting to, that we would work with him and schedule, if we felt there was a void. I'll use Ron's example. We thought there was a void that we needed somebody to start at 7. We would work with him and advise that we need to move his night schedule from, I'll say 6 to 7 in order to fill this void.
So I guess what I'm wondering is if a student or a family has what they consider a bad experience in a class or in a course, who would they turn to? What's the process?
I would say the first person they would probably go to would be the high school principal.
High school principal, okay.
And then probably Jim contacts me, and we go over, and we would listen to what the issues are, and then address the issues with with this case, Mr. H's driving school, or A&R if it was them.
Okay, do families know that?
I would say that there's no written anywhere that they know that, but we have had people that have contacted myself and asked questions about, either when the classes start or how do we get a hold of somebody. I have never heard an issue about inappropriate conduct or anything since I've been here. So, but I can tell you that I don't know of anything in writing that says to the parents.
All right, the information students get to sign up for this and answer preliminary questions, I assume, there's documentation at the office,
The main
high
office,
school.
right. If you walk to the main office, there's a, for lack of better words, an A&R folder. They
Right.
pick up, the information, the sign-up information, the course selection, and then right next to it, at the moment, it still solves.
I think they post information there and probably have periodic.
In fact, in announcements, I think every so often, they have, sign-ups for the June 28th driving at school with solves is available at the main office, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Does that make sense to you, Jim? If there was an issue, you'd contact Peter and address it with the contractor?
Parents have no problem contacting. If you're in the, I'm sorry.
No problem contacting us, but they can't hear us. Thank you, Jim.
Anytime something's in the school, even if it's not owned by the school, parents make it a good assumption that the school was involved with it. And Peter's right, and it's been very minimal, any contact that parents have called for concerns. Both companies that we've worked with, Sal's in the past, and Mike and A&R have been wonderful. I can honestly say I don't know of one student in the past 2 years that I've been there that has not gotten into the course that they want to get into, and both companies have been working really well with us in trying to stagger the starts. And I'm not even talking about the time starts, but also the date starts, because it has to do with your 16th birthdays. And it's been surprisingly going so well. And right, probably the last time I saw Sal was when we negotiated the contract. It's Mike that we see every day.
Other questions for Peter?
Just one more, Peter. The rates, is this
Yes.
same rates as A&R?
Yes.
Okay.
Peter, can you explain why, for those in the community that don't know why, because we don't offer driver's education in our school, as many schools in different places may, why we sign a contract with these individuals?
That's an education. I'm not sure. I think that the decision was not to have a driver's ed curriculum program in the school, but rather have it outside the venue of the education process.
It's, go ahead, Ron.
The other part about this, if we didn't sign a contract, the reimbursement funds would not be available to the students and the families. And Peter did a very nice job, not here, but in a previous contract, that before, years ago, that the parents would be reimbursed after laying out the money for the reimbursement from the state. Now, the vendor has to wait for the money from the state. We only paid a part of it, that's the fee, and the reimbursement goes right back to the vendor, so we don't, as a parent, have to lay out that money.
Yeah, I think our students gain the benefits, the same benefits that they would gain by us having it. The school district gains the benefit of not having to worry about leasing cars, taking care of cars, certifying teachers. And probably if you asked half of the kids and half of the parents, they think the school runs it anyway, except they don't obviously receive the credit for it. But now they get to do it during lunch, they can do it during study hall, as long as they have the approval of the administration. So it runs like a school program, but it's not the responsibility. It's sort of like the bus company, I guess, in a way.
Running driver's ed program can be prohibitively expensive. And in this manner, the way it's set up, as Ron had mentioned, Peter was able to get, in essence, the reimbursement up front to the parents as opposed to at the back end. Contract with a variety of companies. You can offer it in a variety of times during the day. No cost to the district, minimal cost, well, not minimal, but a decreased cost to the parents. And it's more effective. Many high schools have gone this route as opposed to having official quote-unquote driver ed classes.
Further discussion? Dan?
I'll make a motion. I think Ron's idea was a good one, that we approve Mr. H for a one-year contract with a two-year option.
We can make that adjustment.
I'll second that.
We have a second from Paul. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Mike, so we don't catch you off guard, this is the part where I usually start down on the right with Whitney, and we go through liaison reports. I see that you have one of the papers from the school. She's brought a stack of them that
Yeah.
she was going to hand out to the board. Do you have anything else that's going on in the school that you think might interest us or the community or the press or?
Well, I'd say most of the classes are starting to wrap up, you know. The end of the year's coming up, and we got finals next week. Well, all the underclassmen, at least. The seniors, most of them finished, lucky. And, well, I'd say the retiring teachers, I had Mr. Lewis for tech ed and drafting, architectural drafting. It's a good year. I had him for about 2 years. And that's about it. All the student council is pretty much wrapped up as well. All the honor societies, things like that.
Mrs. Me?
Well, I was going to say, first, I can welcome Mike. I had Whitney in class. I've had a few of the other reps, and I had Mike a couple years ago, so. I do have a few things, actually. Annie Kalachi wrote and asked me to mention that the Twisters donated their 9th curtain of cranes this year to the Salem Dairy Hospice Center. They read the books Sadako and the 100 paper cranes. They learn the origami and math class. They fold 100 cranes plus, some during the Iowa testing, I guess, in blocks of time, and they string them for a donation. And they were received by Mickey Dalton and Pat Shanley from the center on Friday. And Annie ended by saying, obviously, it had a great impact on their thinking skills for the math Iowas. Bonnie Breithaupt at Moose Hill wrote to just say that they enjoyed Carnival Day on Friday, June 9th, that the rain held off and the students enjoyed the outdoor activities and indoor activities, and she wanted to thank the volunteers and staff. And the end of the year celebrations are Wednesday, June 14th and Thursday, June 15th at Moose Hill. And Kelly Jaguar wanted to let everybody know that Mrs. Blanche's first grade classroom is going to be visiting the Festival for Youth students at the high school on Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30. They're going to work on a summer craft project and share a snack. And these are the same first graders that Festival for Youth members read to and purchased Dr. Seuss books for back in March. The Festival for Youth students are excited to welcome the first graders to the high school. And I just wanted to mention, I made a copy. I don't know if you all saw the article that was in the Derry News, but I had an extremely exciting opportunity that I wanted to mention that fell into place last week. First of all, I want to thank Sue Ballard because I know she was part of getting the equipment that made it all possible. And I want to thank Lynn Jackson in the library media staff. Long story short, I have a former student of mine that I had down at the Bromfield School in Massachusetts who graduated in 1978, who's a lieutenant commander in the Army, and he's in Command Central in Baghdad. And with my current issues class over the semester, we've done quite a bit of discussion about Iraq and the situation and insurgencies, et cetera. And Dave and I had been emailing, and he had said right off that he couldn't do pen pals or anything like that, which was fine because I really didn't want to give out students and have them writing to people I didn't know. But mostly all seniors, I have one junior in the class, wrote questions, sent them off. He answered every single one individually, has been sending me email pictures, et cetera. Lynn Jackson happened to say to me one day back in early April, wouldn't it be amazing if we could do a distance learning video conference? Fine with me. I have trouble with anything beyond the VCR, so I kind of left it to her. It did take about 2 months, and I was out at the beginning of last week for my brother-in-law's wake and funeral. So Kelly Oakes, who's a teacher in my department, kind of stepped in and took the classes for me, did a phenomenal job working with the seniors about types of questions, et cetera. I came back on Wednesday, and at 12:30, we were all up in the Library Media Center and staring at the big TV, waiting, and got to be about 12:37, and Lynn was a little nervous, and she called Fort Eustis because that was the connection. And all of a sudden, one of the seniors said, "It says connecting on the TV." And the next thing we knew, Dave, who is my former student, he had also gotten a Navy lieutenant commander and an Air Force first lieutenant. So there was a panel of 3 of them. And we had 45 minutes of a discussion, questions. It just was amazing. The lieutenant commander was an Annapolis grad and on his 8th deployment. Dave had gone in the Army, gotten out, and then went back in. And the Air Force guy was a newbie, and he had gone through a 60-day Air Force equivalent of officers training, officer candidate school. So the next day, after the questions and everything, and I think Lynn had called the Dairy News, but Suzanne Laurent wrote a really great article. And the next day, I asked the seniors what they thought about it, and it was spectacular. And the one that really comes to mind, Allie Parker, Ben Parker's daughter, looked and just kept shaking her head, and she said, "I still can't believe we were sitting in Londonderry High School and we were talking to Baghdad, like looking at them." It just, what an opportunity for the students. I think they learned a lot. I think they have a tremendously better understanding of some of the situations over there. One of the best things as a history teacher is all 3 of the guys strongly suggested, very politically correct, but if you want to see any change, you have to vote, and emphasize that. So it was just great, and I just wanted to let you know about it. Again, thanks, Sue, and the district for the opportunity to have something like this happen. And Lynn was especially happy because it really fit in as a learning thing. I mean, it fit into the curriculum. It just was perfect. I think it's an experience that they'll never forget. Other than that, we have exams next week. For those of us not seniors.
Thank you.
Think I'm done?
Barbara. George.
Thank you. Excuse me. Communications Committee met a week or 2 ago. Again, we're talking about improving the website over the summer, and we will be doing a survey at Old Home Day at the booth and asking folks to respond specifically about how they get information and the types of vehicles that they'd like to see. The Tech Committee met again last week, but I'll defer to Ron as you get down there. Nothing from the Planning Board, and the Auditorium Study Committee had their first meeting last week. There are 4 subcommittees there. There'll be a committee looking at location. There'll be a committee looking at educational specifications, one looking at funding options, and another at the operational costs. So those subcommittees will be meeting over the course of the next month or 6 weeks. And we're on track to get back to the board. I think we said the 15th of September.
We moved that out a little bit.
Oh, we moved it out because of the way the board schedule is.
Right, so it would be probably the beginning of October.
Beginning of October.
Have 3 visitations set up too.
Oh, I'm sorry, that Nate is absolutely right. Nate has set up visitations for the committee to Pinkerton, Timberlane, and Exeter. That is it.
Paul? I sat in for Dan at the town council meeting last week. And before I forget, Adriana Comps was there for the budget committee. And she announced during the meeting, at the public comment, that on July 7th, that's a Friday night, there's going to be a movie night at Town Common. They're going to have refreshments, snacks from 6:30 to 8:30, and then a big screen movie on the bandstand at Town Common for anyone and everyone to enjoy. The snacks will be at a nominal cost, probably I think she said $1 for a drink, $1 for anything. And there'd be volunteers there, and then the movie at 8:30. So that's a family event available for the public. As far as business for the town council, one of the residents came forward during the public comment and mentioned that he had been unable to get minutes from the rec commission. And it turns out that that particular committee had not kept minutes for the most part for probably 2 or 3 years for various reasons. And it came out during the discussion that they're probably not the only town committee that's done that, whereas it was pointed out RSA 91A, Section 4, calls for minutes for bodies like that. So the council had a discussion and planned to, Dave Karen was going to see to asking all the committees that meet regular session to take some kind of minutes and hold on to those, and ultimately I think they want to put those on the website so they're available to the public as needed. During new business, the Eagle View Technology Services MOU was up for readoption. They have an annual agreement with Eagle View for renewing that contract, and that was renewed. There was some concern about how that would jive with any new decision made with respect to IT management. And the answer was that the town has a 90-day termination notice, either party does, so that there is flexibility as necessary if a new decision's made during the course of this contract. The council also announced that they were going to take another look between now and the next joint meeting, in case you hadn't heard it, about other opportunities for cooperating with other governing bodies in town, whether that be the school side or the library side. So they are going to form a little subcommittee and have some discussions and look at their structure with an eye towards the next budget session, and want to make that an agenda item in August when we meet jointly. And they also invited the school board to do same. And the last thing was they just mentioned in their liaison reports that they were going to see about getting more, I guess, better disclosure about the committees that are in play on the town side, and put that on the web so that all the committees' memberships and charges and voting rights, etc., in addition to minutes, are available to interested residents online. And that's another initiative they are going to establish later this season. Thank you.
I caught one part of that meeting, and it's rumored that they may even take us off their website as a division. Ron?
It was a busy week. We had a CIP meeting, and basically we spoke about what the debt structure was a little bit, and we set up a meeting for August 10th and August 17th, and that's when the two things will happen in the August 10th meeting. The department heads and the school district will make presentations on what plans are coming up in the next 5 years. And Peter will be talking a little bit more about that later on today. And then at the August 17th meeting, the committee itself will be voting on or scoring the projects and laying them out on the plan. So that's the first thing that's happening. Second thing is the technology committee met, but before the technology committee met, we had representatives of Apple Computer with us. And the big question came up is they're changing over to the Intel processor. And one of the things with the Intel processor is how does that affect the software we have, the operating systems? And it appears that we're in pretty decent shape when it comes to the operating systems on the using the Intel processor. What I didn't know is on these new Intel processors, it has the ability to run the OS X, Windows, or even Linux. So you can change between operating systems on these new Macs. So that may be an advantage in the future as we start looking at these Macs, but we're looking at it in technology committees, waiting until they have their educational expo before we do anything there to see if there's any new products that are being offered. And what it looks like is happening right now, you have those mini-Macs that's somewhere between $500 and $800. You need to buy a monitor and a keyboard and it hooks it in, and that's got a Intel processor in it. So we'll be looking at that as a committee. We're also setting up goals for next year on the technology committee. One of the things that we spoke about and that we want to make sure, I know as a board member, I'm going to be pushing for is the protocols and procedures, and to start rolling them out, over the next 8 or 10 months, one a month or something like that. Let's get the protocols out. We've been talking about it for several years. We'd like to see if we get them in place by the end of next year. That's my goal, personal goal, to get that done. So those are a couple of the issues that we have, but we're moving along in the technology area. Again, the template that they use is excellent. What they came up with, and we'll see at the next meeting, is we saw the one that Mark produced for the C3 committee where it says, here's the questions, here's what it solves. Technology is going to the next step, and it's going to be a lessons learned is, okay, now that we implemented this initiative, what went right and what went wrong, so the next time we do something, we can learn from that and move it up to the next level. So that's what we're doing on that, so that should come out real well. I don't have the examples here, but I have them in the car, and that looks like it's pretty good, that we'll understand that. Some of them was that we needed more training. Maybe we shouldn't implement it at mid-year because that created some problems. So that's the area that'll come up in technology, so we'll have a better picture of that. The C3 committee met, and you've seen most of the work. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. The history textbooks, the algebra textbooks. Andy will talk about the toolkits coming up a little bit later, and we spoke about using that as standardized on that initiative template for any future book purchases and items that the committee's doing. We spoke about the auditorium committee. The spec committee met today, talking about a couple of policies that are coming up and looking to see where we're going next year on it, and taking a couple of the ideas that come up. I kind of brought up is we have an autism program that's just starting at Matthew Thornton this year for the children coming in from the Moose Hill, but how does that come along long range in here that affects the rest of the grades? That's for first grade. How does that affect 1 through 5? And then 4 years out, how does it affect the middle school on the program? So those are things that we have to look at as we look at the South School building proposal. That also affects the space that is needed in the community. As these children remain in the community, it's cost effective for the district. We offer a good program there, but it does take space to do those programs. So there's an offset between the space, savings to the community, and outplacement. These outplacements that we talk about can run between $30,000 and $50,000 a student. So those are a few of the committees. The auditorium committee I'm really excited about. I thought the committee broke down very nicely, and the visits are going to be very educational. One of the things that we did on that, just to add on to George's comment, is when the committees go out, the whole committee came up with a list of attributes that they'll be asking the same questions, so when we compare the 3 buildings, what they've done, we've got the same questions that were answered on each of them. So we're looking forward to the committee and seeing how that comes out. I'm done.
All set.
Yeah. Ron covered a number of the committees, as well as George. Those of you that are on the mailing list for the NH Cafe Group received a notice today. The court announced mid-afternoon that it was accepting reservations for those that would like to attend in the court. For further details on that, you can go to nhcafe.org, and if you're not on the mailing list, it's pretty easy to sign up at the same site. The complete press release from the Supreme Court is on there, so you can get the details there, but you do have to call in, and there are a limited number of seats, and the phone number and extension and who you have to talk to are up there. I've already heard from a few community members who called today, and they did get in on the list. So if you're interested in attending, that's the 22nd of June at 9 o'clock. And if you can't attend, make sure to have a link so that you can view the broadcast from the court. Nate, before we go to superintendent's report and the items on the agenda, it probably would be appropriate for you to talk briefly about the event Saturday night and just recognize those people
Yes.
that
Yes, absolutely.
went through the
Right.
bell.
That's right. Last Saturday night was Bell Night, or also known as the Eddies. Londonderry was extremely well represented. We'll start with South School. South School was a finalist for Elementary School of the Year, and as such, they were recognized in front of, I think, a group of about 800 people that were present at the Eddies. And South School is to be commended. I still think they should have won, but that's just my opinion. They did a great job, and it was wonderful recognition. Also, Marcia Connors, who's an art teacher at South School, who had been identified as the elementary art teacher of the year, also received her Eddie and her bell and recognition. And lastly, Mr. Jim Elefante, who was high school principal of the year, was also recognized as such, and he received his bell. This is Jim's second bell. If I remember correctly, he was also elementary principal of the year. So we want to recognize all those people and congratulate them. It was a very nice evening. Londonderry, I think, went up the most of any other school district there, and something to be proud of, the hard work, effort that went into that recognition of outstanding performance. And everyone remembers last year the school board was recognized as the school board of the year. Prior to that, Ida DeJura was recognized as elementary teacher of the year. And I believe prior to that, Carol Mack was recognized as assistant principal of the year. And have I missed anybody? I think we had Liz Juster, yes, English teacher of the year. I can't
And Rich
forget
was
that.
a finalist?
Rich was runner-up.
Rich was finalist for elementary principal of the year. So over the last 4, 5, 6 years, there's been a string of recognition, if you will, for various individual staff members and groups of staff in the Londonderry School District, and I think it's something to be very proud of and represents excellence, I think. And I want to thank everybody for their efforts. It was a very nice evening. And I want to thank the school board members that showed up. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5 tables. which
Yeah,
was very nice.
I counted it up. Out of the 800 or so people that were there, our district had 40 people in attendance, and there was a thunderous applause when each of our recipients went up. And I thought it was a nice consolation prize that South School had one of the 2 congressmen present them with their award. And interesting story, just the day before that, a student who was actually taken out of Matthew Thornton School was down in Washington with their parents, and Jeb Bradley took them onto the floor, the student onto the floor, and they actually had an opportunity to meet the other congressman, to go up at the up to the stand where the president, the Speaker of the House stands, and also to press the button on an older congressman's button, I was told, but we weren't supposed to tell anybody. Ron, you had one more thing?
Just one more thing, too, before I forget. What was also very nice was a representative from Senator Sununu's office, if I remember correctly, was a former student of Art Salidas'. And she mentioned the work that Art had done and the support that Art had provided to her as she was going through high school. And I thought that was a very nice touch. And then, if you know Art, his face turned crimson red and a whole bit. But it was very nice.
Ron?
I guess on the communication committee, I was wondering if we can, if you're gonna have a survey or some question, can we ask about the food service and the payment on that, Peter? I was with a group of parents over the weekend, and they were saying that they were having problems working with the pen pal, and I don't know why, but is it just the group of parents that I was with that weekend, or is there something that we're missing on that? Because I think it's a very valuable tool, And if parents aren't using it, because I'm just writing a check and sending it in, it'd be beneficial for us if they're mailing in the PayPal to make it work out better for us. So if somehow you and Peter can work something out and ask that question, and how we can implement that maybe better, or educate the parents on how to use it better. We'll look into it. Thank you.
Okay, Andy.
Tonight, I'm presenting the revised toolkits for the middle school. These toolkits were developed to provide an overview of various curriculum areas, a curriculum map for each grade level, a common assessment section that will be completed during the next school year, and differentiation strategies to be utilized. We believe that these toolkits will provide another useful tool to assist a new teacher or long-term substitute with the implementation of curriculum. By providing curriculum maps and implementing common assessments, it is our goal to gain more consistency between teams at the various grade levels. The revised toolkits will be used in conjunction with our teacher binders, which contain classroom activities and assessments to assist teachers in meeting benchmarks. The common assessments that will be developed next year will allow us to periodically test students and collect data regarding student progress based on the district benchmarks. So the first thing I'd like to kind of clarify is each of you received a version of the new toolkit. The toolkit does not replace the binders that teachers have spent years doing. What the toolkit does is it gives you a quick snapshot that says, in this case, U.S. History 1. So now when I have a long-term substitute or a new teacher coming on board, let's take the case of the long-term substitute for a maternity, I know exactly where I need to go to get them the material for the time frame that they'll be there. So in the curriculum map, it might be November, December, and January. It's going to outline exactly what I need. In terms, if you went to the math binder, each of the modules in the CMP program is divided into a unit, and there is a binder for each one of those. So a new teacher coming on board gets the curriculum map, which gives them an overview, and then they are provided with each of the binders on that unit. They can then adjust those, supplement those, and devise new methods in their own classroom. Next year, with the common assessment piece, we really look at that similar to the computation tests that we put in, that we can periodically give those to grade levels in curriculum areas, and not only find out if we're covering benchmarks, but what are the students gaining from the benchmarks? What is their knowledge? We had great success this year with the computation component, and we look to implement that across the board with the time frame. Right now, we're going to focus on math first. We're looking at a common final exam for Algebra 1 now that we're going to be using the same text. We are also looking at a common midterm. We also are trying to prepare those students for what will be a high school midterm and final exam, because many of our students haven't experienced a test like that, and we think that would be good for them. At this point, I can answer any questions about the toolkit.
Questions from the board? Ron?
Andy, I saw this at the C3 committee. I thought it was an interesting idea. The part I did not get at the time was that you're still using the binder, and that was a big thing, and I didn't put the two together, but I can understand the advantage of having a smaller version so you can get right to where you want to be. So I think they've done a nice job, and I like the idea of the curriculum mapping with the timeframes when the specific portions are going to be implemented. So I think it's good, and we can get this put on computerized so we have it available to us. So I think it's a good idea the way it's split up. I was concerned at the C3 meeting. After looking at it afterward, I think it's a very good way of handling it.
Yeah, and the intent is also to put the curriculum maps out on the Londonderry Middle School website so that a parent can go on and look at, what are they supposed to be doing in November. And for us, with the new hires that we have coming in, we've already been able to just make quick photocopies of the condensed toolkit and send them out for those staff members who'll be coming on board in September so they can start looking at that. The other piece is their mentor is the one who helps them get through these wonderful big binders. So they'll sit down with their mentor during their common planning time and go through why the lessons are in there, why the assessments are in there, and help them grow in greater understanding of our curriculum and our benchmarks.
Mark?
Andy already brought it up, but as he mentioned, we will be adding the unit overview maps onto the district website for parents and community members to see exactly what we're doing at our middle school level.
So any teacher or future teacher would also go to that site and take a look, even a substitute from home that got called in.
That's correct. Plus, all of these have been burned onto CDs, so it's easy for the new teachers to come in, just pick up the CD, take it home, and find out which way they want to go with it.
Great. Thank you. Nate, CIP discussion.
Yes, Peter?
Yes, as Ron alluded to, we've had a couple meetings thus far this year. One thing I want to pass out, one of the things the CIP committee wanted, and that Susan and I talked about, we would just maintain this together as a shared document. This is still not completed yet. We thought we could combine in a one spreadsheet the debt service of both the town and school. Thereby, we can look at individual debt services as well as community debt service. And obviously, that plays well into determining the debt load of the community, how much debt is currently being approved. But also, if you go through it, I got the school, and then the school leases, which is, those capital leases that they're usually 3 years, the town. And then there's a page called projected, PROJ, projected debt. What we're doing there is, if you take the CIP spreadsheet as the school one was in the packet, and you take for granted that the projects are approved at the date specified in the CIP plan, how much debt would that incur using the standard 20-year bond in most cases, so that you can have the current debt for both town and school, and then add on that a layer of projected debt, and then you can get a feel for how much the debt service for town, school, or community is if these projects were to be approved at the selected timeframes. And we haven't got all the projected debt yet. Still waiting for Sue on the town side. Then what we'll do is we'll put on analysis that will show the available debt margin for both town and schools. We'll show what the debt service calculates into a tax rate. So if you'll have the total tax rate, and then how much of the total tax rate that just the debt service is calculating towards, and then a percentage of the total tax rate. So you can see of the current tax rate, 20% or 15% is being allocated solely for debt. So you separate operating costs from long-term debt. And I think what the CIP committee is looking at is getting a feel for what percentage or how much debt are we approving based on what we got now and what we want to do. And that gives an idea of, obviously, the tax rate and what tax impact debt service has on the tax rate as projects are approved or slotted into particular years. What I gave you in the packet was the whole CIP document that was approved last year, and then the draft of just the school spreadsheet. And you see well, actually, North School is almost done. You get South School, district office renovations, and I put on there in the last 2 years the auditorium.
Mr. Chairman, in the July meeting, I would think we'd want to have Peter present his write-ups to us and just go over to make sure we're still comfortable with the layout of where we have these projects. And again, right now, no decision's been made on the auditorium. However, it's just a placekeeper that was in there originally that we're maintaining, and as we get more information on it, it'll go, that's not even gonna be presented to the CIP committee with it, because there's no meat on the bones yet, and they're gonna have their decision before September 1, and we won't have any meat on the bones there to answer the questions as how much does it cost, how much does it take to run, where you're putting it, all those things will be in the October timeframe. So what we do is I would recommend in the July meeting that we talk about the CIP plan, what Peter's presenting, or what we're presenting to the committee in August, on August 10th, and go from there. And then the committee, the board will have a chance to kind of make sure that we're still on board with the spacing of the projects.
Because history is important, the item in the packet, it's labeled as page number 2, and it's stapled to the Capital Improvements Plan 2007, 2012. Has this ever been published before?
The document labeled Londonderry Capital Improvement Plan has. The spreadsheet is taking what was approved and modifying it. For example, in 2007, we approved $200,000 for architectural engineering for South School. What I did was add a placeholder. I just put $200,000 for FY08, figuring that it's 10% of $4 million. There was mention that we'll come back in March with the additional funds needed for architectural engineering. Then I put the South School it's still 2009 at $4 million. I left the district office the way it is, and then I just added for now, as a presentation, a $12 million figure for the auditorium, and then the architectural engineering fee in the year before that. So this spreadsheet hasn't been presented or to anybody except the CIP committee got it last week. So we start from here, and we start through the board's pleasure, as Duran said in July, move around, approve or disapprove items, and then we present our CIP to the our CIP spreadsheet to the committee in August, and then we go from there.
To add to that, the FY09 for South School was on last year's CIP in FY09.
Right.
And the district office was on in FY11.
Right. The two architectural engineering, $200,000 for 07 and 08 were not part of last year's document.
Questions from the board? When do we provide our recommendation for the capital plan?
The July
I would say
13th,
the July 25th is the next meeting, right?
July 25th.
And we have, I'm sorry, I think the question I asked wasn't right. When do we present?
August 10th.
Thank you, that was the, okay, so we present our team, which is you, on the capital improvement plan, present that on August
10th.
10th. And we will be reviewing the capital plan again on July 25th in
That's
preparation for that.
That's correct.
And this plan is exactly the same as last year. There were no changes in the school space needs for South School.
The only difference, Steve, was
The 200,
the two $200,000 amounts in 07, 08. And that was based on we've got approval already for $200,000 for this year. There was some talk that you wanted, or the board wanted to fund the additional monies for architectural engineering in the upcoming March. So that's why I just plugged in a number, making it 10% of the $4 million. The 210, the FY 210 number of 275 and the 211 number of 2,475,000 for the district office is the same. And then what's new is FY 12 and FY 2013.
Okay. And you added that to
Yes.
this sheet
Right.
for our discussion in July.
Right.
Somebody there?
Good evening. Marty Bovey, 3 Tinkham Lane, but also a member of the CIP and Town Council. And the reason I came up is because I was at the recent CIP meeting with both Peter and Ron, and a couple things I wanted to add that Peter didn't. But one thing that was agreed upon by our both finance officers really was that they would present it in the same format, same time period, which will make it a lot easier for the budget committee, also for the town and for the school, to be able to relate to the total CIP plan. And you kind of brought it up. One of the important things is, as a plan, that we try to follow it and not every year create from scratch. And you said you're going forward with pretty much what you had last year. And hopefully the town will do the same. The plan is no good if it's not dynamic, because obviously things change. And we're expecting presentations, obviously, from the people who, to justify why things are there and or why things should either move or not move. And I'm sure that if you wanted to move something, Ron will present why. But the thing that people have to understand, the elected bodies, which you are and the town council is, who makes the final decisions as to what goes forward or doesn't go forward, have to take in mind the impact that it has on the other people involved. So if somebody tries to move something for all the correct reasons, they have to understand the impact that makes on other things on the CIP and how those things may or may not be pushed up. So that's the caution that we discussed the other night, and something that I just wanted to reiterate in front of you. And the fact that I think with Peter and with Susan putting together their presentations in the same format, the same time frame, it'll make it a lot easier for the budget committee and for the council and for the school board to see the total impact in regards to tax dollars and so forth going forward. So just my comment.
Yeah, no, a good example of reshuffling was the year that the issue at North School, when we had a public, a student safety issue, and things got juggled around. I'm not sure, but I think that the town delayed the fire station concept or work so that we could fit that in that year, and that the voters would approve, because we didn't have any large changes. So.
Again, what Marty's alluding at is we had a discussion at the meeting. There was a potential that we would have 2 projects on the ballot in the same year, and that's something that the council and the school district will work out to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we schedule them out. And the project, as you look at this thing here, as you start to get into the 1 to 3 year window, it's pretty tight, and as you start going out 4 or 5 years, becomes a little bit looser, and as you move it in, you should be getting the projects there. One of the things the committee is adamant about is going out for the architect engineering cost early, so we can give the voters a good estimate on the cost of the project. I think that came out loud and clear in the meeting.
Right, yes, it did. And ultimately, as we even said, regardless of what we project, whatever we bring forward, the voter is the one that's going to make the decision as to whether it's going to go forward or not, and the impact that other things may have. So if they push something out to another year, if they turned it down, it obviously will have impact on other things, but it's not like we're going to go back in and recreate the CIP every year from scratch. We're going to try and go forward with a plan that makes sense and justify why something should come off if it's supposed to come off, or why something should go on in place of something else. It's not something that we're just going to the auditorium is not going to come up and just say, okay, we're going to push that up 3 years and push everything else out 5 years or whatever. If that just isn't going to happen because somebody wants to do it. It's going to have to be justified, a real good reason. At the same thing, it may be pushed out itself because of other things coming up, whether it be school needs or town needs or whatever. So, and there'll be plenty of time for public input too. So. Oh, and by the way, you're not a department, but the reason that you're there under the department is because a lot of people come from cities where schools are part of the town, so they naturally go to the town website looking for school information. So that's when we send them over to you.
Yeah, we have the library and the town site in our upper right-hand corner, so, yeah, right on the home page. So I can understand that. Thanks, Ron.
That's it.
All set?
You all set?
Any other questions for Peter? You have anything else this evening, Nate?
Just non-public session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into non-public session under RSA 91A3, Section 2A through F.
Second. First by Ron, second by
I, Ron
Dan.
Capo.
Aye, Steve
Yeah,
John.
I've heard that.
George Sherman.